Come on. All right. Hey, there we go. It was lagging a bit. How's it going, everybody? Grand Rising. Grand Rising. How's everybody out doing? Sun's rising. It's going to be a hotter day in Maine. And as you can see, I got a little bit of my beach chogs going on. I'm down on the beach in a little while. But what I wanted to talk about was in light of recent events, at least in the United States, I wanted to talk about being self-responsible as guys. You know, I've you know I've had the occasion to speak with numerous other men over the course of my life, and talking about birth control, contraception, things of that nature, and we're with our partner, um, I'm not going to speak to promiscuous sex. Um, I'm only going to speak, from my own life experience within monogamy. Um, but there were times where the woman that I was with, my partner, for one reason or another, birth control pills were not an option for her. Um, um, the birth control pill itself, while many women use it to regulate their menstrual cycles, other women use it for birth control, and some women can tolerate it, some women can't. In some women, it makes them sick. And in that particular relationship that I'm remembering from my past, we utilize condoms. Um, and there is from a male standpoint, I despise condoms. I despise them. There's a lack of sensation, a lack of feeling. I'm with my partner. I want a full enjoyable experience with her, and I want her to have a full enjoyable experience, skin on skin. So there's a lot of guys that I ain't wearing a condom. Well, see you later. Ladies, I'm permissioning you to say that. If the guy isn't willing to wear a condom, see you later. But in my experience, stay focused, Scott. Um, uh, I When I was, so this would have been 2006. It's 2022. I am currently 55 years old. So you guys do the math. I was 39 years old, something like that, 40 years old. Who cares? But I was at a point in my life. I had had no children biologically. There was no delivery of any children biologically by my partner, spouse, girlfriend, lover. Um, but I was at a point in my life where I had definitely gotten to the point where I knew for certain that I didn't want to have children. Um, and that it's a personal choice, and I'm not telling anybody, how to live their life. This was the right choice for me, and I chose to have a vasectomy. And I suppose what I'm the angle that I'm taking with this share is to take the sting out of the idea of what it means to have a vasectomy. And there's various types of vasectomies. And I'm going to try to break down some of the perhaps the distortions that we as men have about what it means to have a vasectomy. Um, so I had a meeting with a surgeon. It's not a surgical, technically, it's not a surgical procedure. It was an outpatient procedure. You go in the morning, and I was only there for, I think, at most prep time. You're in and out of the doctor's office, and it was something that he was able to do at his office. It was an outpatient procedure. There was no surgery center. There was no operating room. It was on his exam table, very similar to what you might view in an OB room, where the stirrups, and I did have my feet in stirrups where my legs were slightly spread apart, so he could access my scrotum properly. And yeah, very quick procedure. I think the procedure itself only took about the procedure itself only took about a half an hour. The prep work involved, sterility, sanitation, making sure everything's clean. The prep, surgery prep, I think actually took longer than the procedure itself. But what you can expect, what you could expect as a guy going in for a vasectomy. And again, there are different types of vasectomies that you can have. The type of vasectomy that I had was what they refer to as irreversible. But there are reversible. So let's just say that for whatever, you're focusing on your career or whatever, and you don't want to have children right now, there are reversible vasectomies. It can be completely turned around. Oh, I want to have children when I'm 30, or whatever. There are reversible vasectomies, and I'll address that shortly. But my choice was to have an irreversible vasectomy, which means that I could never possibly ever have children again. And so to take the sting out of it, he told me, I got the little pamphlet, whatever, like what to expect, from your outpatient experience with a vasectomy. It was recommended that I shave, that I be clean shaved. Well, at least the scrotum anyway. It has nothing to do with your pubic region, just your scrotum. So make sure that that's clean. He gave me Hibby Cleanse to take home, and that morning, clean white boxers, Hibby Cleanse. Hibby Cleanse is like a sanitary soap. It's virtually sterile when you're done, and he redoes that again when you're at the office. He cleans the area thoroughly, make sure that it's sanitary, sterile, alcohol swabs, Hibby Cleanse. And then he applied, and there's two tiny incisions, tiny. I'm trying to, I don't know, I'm trying to use something for scale here. Okay, yeah, all right. So you got your standard Bic lighter. Okay, now you see that the little port where the flame comes out, that little circle. I would have to say that the incision, there's two incisions, one on the left side of your scrotum, one on the right side of your scrotum. And the size of the incision is no bigger than that. I remember it was 2 stitches on either side, two small stitches. So to give you an idea, how big is the incision? And guys, these are our bits we're talking about. It's a sensitive topic, sensitive material. Prior to making any sort of incision or injection he puts on a topical anesthetic, which numbs the entire surface of your scrotum. So when he actually uses an injectable anesthetic prior to making the incision, so you don't even feel the needle of the anesthetic going in. You can't even feel it. You might feel pressure or him moving around down there, but there's virtually no pain involved. and he makes the once the anesthetic has taken hold, usually 10-15 minutes. And he'll palpate, and he'll touch you, and can you feel that? Can you feel? No, I'm numb. I'm numb. No different than you might have dental work, and they inject your jaw and you can't feel a thing. Same idea. Same idea. At which point he cleanses the area again, uses a sterile scalpel right out of the packet, and makes those two tiny, tiny little incisions. And he doesn't do both incisions at the same time. He does one side at a time. But he makes the incision on the left side and on the right side. And he goes in with a pair of forceps and fishes around a little bit. John, how are you, man? We're talking about vasectomies. In light of recent events in the United States, I just felt it was apropos to talk about male responsibility in reproduction. And anyway, so let me get back to the topic. I'm explaining my experience with having a vasectomy, and being self-responsible in regards to procreation. So anyway, going back, he makes the tiny incision. He goes into the incision with a very small pair of forceps. And again, you'll feel him fumbling around down there, but there is absolutely no pain involved. None. Zero. And he's constant, are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine, dude. Yeah, do your thing. And what he's looking for is the vas deferens, VASDEFERENS, deferens, vas deferens. And what that is, it visually, if you were to lay your eyes on it, it looks like a piece of it looks like a thin piece of pasta that's attached to the testicle on either side. And what he's doing, and that's where the semen and the sperm flow. So what he's looking for, he reaches in with the forceps, pulls that piece of vas deferens out that looks like a slender piece of pasta. And for real, guys, that's what it looks like, because he showed it to me afterward, the piece that he removed. I'm like, yeah, that looks like pasta. So what he does, he pulls that out just enough so that it's outside of the incision. And in my particular case, now again, there's different varieties of vasectomies that we can engage with. But in my particular case, I had an irreversible vasectomy. And what that entails is removing, and I think it was a half an inch or an inch of that vas deferens, that pasta looking membrane. And that's an irreversible. So what he does is he cuts off a little from this end, a little from this end. And the idea is that you want enough distance between them that they can never reattach. Okay. Because that does, in rare cases, that is a possibility where the vas can reattach itself, and whoops, all of a sudden your partner's pregnant. There are ways around figuring out if that, you can prevent that from happening. And he makes a cut on either side, removes that piece in the middle, and ties off stitches, dissolvable stitches on either side. And he repeats that process on the right side, and then repeats that process on the left side, or vice versa. Tucks everything back in, and 2 stitches on either side, 2 minute stitches. It's incredibly painless. Again, you just feel him fumbling around down there. There's no pain involved, guys. It's easy. Now, to go to a reversible vasectomy, what they will do is instead of actually cutting the vas, um, or sometimes they'll cut it and they'll clamp it. And there's these tiny little minute plastic like clamps that they leave on. It perfectly sterile. Your body won't reject it, et cetera, et cetera. But they'll use these clamps that prevent the sperm from going through the vas. This is not. It's like it's roughly the equivalent of female birth control pill, 99.9% effective, but there always is that 0.1% where this procedure doesn't work. But that is what they would refer to. So let's just say, in 10 years, you change your mind. Okay, I'm ready to have children with my wife or my spouse. They can go back in the same way and remove those little clamps. You wait 14 days and the production of semen and sperm reoccur. Very easy, guys. Very easy. This is about us being self-responsible with our own bodies. The things, and then after the procedure, he sends you home. Keep it clean, keep it dry. You might want to have a cold compress once the anesthetic wears off. I vaguely remember him sending me home with like a day or two's worth of pain meds. But it was really nothing. Honestly, the pain meds weren't necessary. It was nothing that I couldn't solve with like a couple of Tylenol. It really, the pain level was minimal. But you might want to have a cold compress. There might be some swelling, tenderness around the area where the incision is. But I mean, guys, come on. We slam our hand in the car door and wrap paper towels and duct tape around it and call it good. If you can't handle that, I mean, it was really kind of like a non-event. Like, when he told me, yeah, we're done, I was like, what? We're done? And it was like a half an hour. It was so quick. It was so quick. And then he sends you home with, keep it clean, keep it dry, do, and a list of things to do and not to do, and la-di-da-di-da. You definitely want to have a cold compress. You might be a little tender, a little sore, a frozen bag of peas, man. Trying to take some of the sting out of this, figuratively and literally. But, and then to make sure, at the end of, I think it was 14 days. 14 days. It wasn't very long. He said and he sends you home with a sterile cup like you would use ever, and he sends you home with a sterile cup. And he says, in 14 days, I need you to ejaculate in the cup. And ejaculate in the cup, bring it back to my office. I'm going to put it under the microscope. I'm going to put it under the microscope and make sure that there aren't he doesn't even want to see dead sperm in the sample. And the way your body processes it is much like anything else. The sperm that are not used are simply absorbed into your own body, and you dispel them in your urine. Because your body is, as a man, your body is constantly producing sperm. So, the end of 2 weeks after the procedure, you ejaculate into a cup. You bring it to his office. He checks, makes sure you're clear, you're good to go. And where a lot of accidents happen, guys, is we simply, I've heard stories of this, numerous stories, man. Oh, I had a vasectomy. Yeah, how long did you wait before you engaged with your partner? Oh, I couldn't wait more than a day or two. Well, dude, there you go. You didn't listen to the doctor's instructions. So anyway, the pros and the cons of this experience for me, the pros and the cons. The pros of this experience, myself and my partner felt liberated. we felt liberated. This sex was way better. She wasn't worried about getting pregnant. I wasn't worried about being a father. We can really, lean into enjoying our partner. When you take the fear of getting pregnant out of the situation, it allows us to enjoy one another fully. Um, there are rumors. There are things that I heard. Well, if you have a vasectomy, doesn't that shorten your sexual lifespan? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I know gentlemen, thinking of this one gentleman in particular, he's 71, had a vasectomy, and he's still sexually active. Um, uh, he's been married to his wife for a very long time, and he had a vasectomy years ago, and he's still sexually active, 70 years old. So it doesn't affect the longevity of your sexual ability. Uh, Time, I'm sure in time we all lose that ability, a version of male menopause where we no longer produce. But so if that's a fear, well, it's gonna shorten my sexual lifespan. It doesn't, guys. There's no hard evidence to prove that. If there were any cons to having a vasectomy as a guy, the only cons that I can think of that come to mind were the event itself of having the vasectomy and the soreness for a couple of days afterward. That was the only thing that I experienced. Everything else was like, oh, this is great, And my partner felt the same way. Oh, this is great, And this is where I might get up on my soapbox a little bit. Um, you know, I I've I feel like as men we all too often, um, let's just put it this way. I know way too many women, mothers who are single parents. I know way too many of them, and our society is rife with that. Um, and it puts way too much pressure on the woman. I've heard numerous guys, uh, distortedly talking about, well, contraception and birth control, that's her responsibility. Excuse me? you know, it's an equally shared experience. It's an equal responsibility, guys. And we have a responsibility to be responsible with that aspect of our bodies. And in light of recent events in the United States, the pressure of that kind of mentality, that distorted male mentality, well, it's her responsibility. It's on her. She should have been safer. It's like, that kind of crap doesn't fly with me. And if that's your attitude, maybe this isn't the video for you. Um, but I do know, in certain experiences in my life, having encountered whether it was a romantic partner or a female friend who had to experience or felt guided to have the experience of abortion. There's a lot of factors to take into consideration with that. Um, and I really genuinely believe that we as men could alleviate a lot of that stress for our partner, for our female partner, for our wife, for our girlfriend, somebody that we care about, that we have compassion for, that we want to nurture, and um, and a quick half-hour procedure, and that stress is gone. It takes that weight and that burden off of her shoulders figuratively. And any woman that you know I'm not going to talk about promiscuous sex again. That's a different ball of wax, and I'm not even going to go there because that's not my lifestyle. Um, I'm talking about these loving relationships where we plan our lives together and our children and families and things of that nature. But that's my 2 cents on it. And if you guys want to talk about it in it, yeah, it is, John. Yeah, it is. It's super quick, dude. I remember laying there, dude, on the table. I was laying there on the table, and he's like, you know, it was like, I don't know, it couldn't have been more than a half an hour. As I think I mentioned earlier in the share, the prep up leading up to the procedure was longer than the procedure itself. Um, but anyway, it's a good day. It's a good day. It's nice and sunny. I mentioned that earlier. The sun's coming up, but gonna head down to the beach. But if anybody has any questions and they want to talk to somebody directly who's had a vasectomy and what is it like, and you may have questions. By all means, feel free to reach out, and I'll leave. I can still leave my for your own anonymity. Whoever is out there, if you have any questions, you can reach me via my email. Um, but let's be responsible, guys. It's not. Let's not dump all this. Women have had the short end of the stick for far too long, and I know what it feels like to be supported by a partner, a loving wife, a girlfriend, a lover, and and we have a responsibility to them, to ourselves, to our families, to our children, you know, um, to love them, and take responsibility for and take the burden off of her shoulders. Um, I think it's high time for that. Whether I agree or disagree with whatever's going on in the United States and the laws that are passed or have been overturned, it has no bearing on. It brought it up. Kind of, I've been seeing a lot of this stuff scroll down through YouTube and an old Facebook channel I used to have, and I'm like, I'm tired of it, guys. And it's there's no room in this for judgment. What has happened in the past, or I know some wonderful women who have been in that position where that was their only choice, or they felt like that was their only choice. And they're wonderful, beautiful women, and I love them. But I also love myself, and I'm responsible for what I'm being self-responsible. So anyway, John, thanks for being here, dude. I fully intend to. Yeah, we'll connect soon. We'll connect soon. I'm eager to have our session. Um, yeah, thank you, John. Thank you. Um, Always a pleasure. But I'll be in touch real soon about having a session with you, man. But I'm gonna go and get my beach stuff together, pack my cooler, and I'm gonna head down to the beach and hopefully not get sunburned. Just enjoy the day and enjoy the sand and the smells and the sights, and maybe go baptize myself in the frigid cold water. Have a glorious day, everybody. Beach time, you know it, brother. Take care, John. Take care. Thanks for being here, man.